This is the CritRPG PubCrawl, where we talk with all the publishers in the progression fantasy and LitRPG space. Hi and welcome to the CritRPG PubCrawl. I'm welcoming Actus, representing Aethon Books today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh yeah, it's going to be so nice. I'm stoked. So, Actus, who are you?
Me, myself. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I'm mostly an author. That's what I've been doing for the past few years. I went full-time pretty recently. I also do some work for Aethon. As of late, they recently just hired me on full-time as well. I pretty much focus on the merch and comic side of things. So I handle like our merch division, our new comic division, and just like a few other random tasks for them as well. But that's most of what I do is like the comics and the merch and also
cool.
the writing.
Yeah. Comics. Can you name any? I don't know. I didn't even know you had comics yet.
It's a very, very new branch for us, but we've got actually quite a few. I don't think I can name any that I myself have worked on yet. Well, no, I can. We're good. We have one for Mark of the Fool, so Trader Man's comic.
Oh.
That one's really cool. I can't like share too much detail yet, but that one's gonna be really, really good. That was announced a while ago. We also have one for Elagos, so Remonarch. That one's also really, really cool, so looking forward to that. And then there's some that I haven't worked on that were also announced. Primal Hunter is getting a Webtoon original, and 40s Re-Trailer Trash. So if you know him, yeah. So those are all really, really cool. Then we have a lot more in the wings that are doing super well, kind of on their way to hopefully coming out, but still in production phase right now. Nothing I can really say too much on yet.
I mean that's cool. I mean it's plenty already. I think most people in the LitRPG space, especially authors, have heard of you before, but I've heard it's a very small shop behind the scenes.
Yeah, Aethon is. I mean, I'm not even gonna count myself because I kind of just do like the stuff on the side, like the comics and the merch is like the side branches. Aethon as a whole is pretty much two guys. It's Rhett and Steve, the co-owners of Aethon. They started just to publish their own books a while back, and now it kind of exploded. And it's still pretty much just them, but they have hired on some extra help, artists, editors, all that stuff. They can't do everything themselves. But Steve still does a lot of work on the covers. Rhett still does most of the marketing stuff. So it's still very much a small kind of team, yeah. Sure.
I mean, I'm looking at their bibliography right now on Aethon's page, and yeah, pretty cool stuff. All right.
Yeah, they're both really, really interesting people.
For sure. I mean, anyone with the entrepreneurial drive to just go like, let's create a publisher is, I think, adventurous and industrious. So I like that a lot. Okay, so do you want to talk a bit about your portfolio then? Because I'm seeing a lot of like military sci-fi. I'm seeing a bit of thriller and suspense.
Yeah, Aethon has a lot. They do sci-fi, they do thriller and suspense. Their biggest focus is progression fantasy and LitRPG. They focus almost entirely on those two. But yeah, they definitely do have a very big sci-fi branch that they like because they both really enjoy sci-fi. I definitely say the main thing we push toward is LitRPG and progression fantasy. And as for the novels we have, I genuinely don't know if I can even go. Like, there's so many. I know we have over 600. And I think that number is pretty old, too. Like, I think that's the one they've been using for a little while. There's a lot. If you've seen something on Raw Road that you like, there's probably a pretty good chance it's signed with Aethon if it's, been out for a little while.
Nice flex. Okay, that's good. No, I'm seeing like stuff like Battle Mage Farmer, for example.
That's
Apocalypse Tamer from Maxime, whom I've already had on the podcast. Yeah. Okay. No,
and then we also have like Primal Hunter, He Who Fights with Monsters, Defiance of the Fall. Those are like the really big ones. Sunrise CV's System Change.
A lot of J. Paul stuff too.
Yeah, JP with like They Called Me Mad and his Tower Cards new series and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, Mark of the Fool, right?
Yeah, T-Man, Mark of the Fool, and we have Melis's very famous Tian. And
there's also this guy called Actus who wrote like some sort of like an orc chef.
Oh god, yeah. Normally when people mention me, I get Steam forged. People joke about
Hmm.
Steamforged a lot because I thought I could write steampunk and I couldn't.
Oh
Genre's
yeah,
dead. But
yeah,
yeah.
it's sad.
Yeah, no, Aethon's got a lot of authors. But I will say, like, Aethon's also not like for example, you mentioned Chef, which is like the first novel I wrote. And they picked me up and they had like 1,000 followers and like no actual following on Railroad whatsoever. Like I had
Hmm.
like no engagement on my chapters. So they're very like they don't only take like big like popular authors or anything like that. Like
Hmm.
pretty much anyone can apply to them if you have like if you meet like the word count.
Hmm.
Obviously helps if the novel's larger.
Yeah.
Again, we have like I know we've signed recently a lot of like 3,000, even 1,000 follower fics, and I
Hmm.
know we also have some that aren't even on Railroad, like some like cold call applications where they're just like,
Oh,
I wrote this book, take a look, and so I know sometimes those go through. So
okay.
Railroad definitely helps a ton, but you don't need it.
Hmm.
It just
So
helps.
and what's kind of like the like a service then? So what do you do that people like when they submit to you? Besides, of course, like the whole advance and all this kind of other kind of stuff. What do they do?
Yeah. So Avon, what the biggest like things we provide. So yeah, there as you said, there is the advance. I don't think we typically focus on the advance. The advance is, especially
Hmm.
for like a small publisher, they're like we do.
Hmm.
It's not like we don't. We've definitely done some pretty solid advances. But like especially for a small publisher, they're very expensive and they're not like super easy because you're competing with like a really big publisher a lot of time for an advance. But yeah, what we do is we like there's the basic like there's editing, there's like the cover. So you come in, we pay for all of it obviously. Just in case anyone doesn't know, you should never pay the publisher any amount of
Yeah.
money in any
Yep.
form.
Yep. Yep.
That is called a vanity press. But yeah, so we handle the editing, we handle the cover, the audiobook production, we handle all of that. Avon will
Hmm.
also like if an author really wants like a big audio advance, Avon will try to sublicense the author and
Hmm.
like kind of connect them with like a large audio company so they can try to get their hands on that larger advance.
Hmm.
I'd say the biggest thing Avon provides though is marketing. I think that's where Avon really shines.
Hmm.
Avon's marketing, like I don't know how Rhett and Steve do it. I don't do the marketing myself, but they are absolutely insane in getting really good marketing, which is why so
Huh.
many times you see releases that, like Chef, for example, which should have crashed and burned on Amazon, that actually do really dang well or like pretty acceptable.
Huh. Pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's definitely an upsell, right? So if you're really into getting your well like your novel marketed well, okay, that's
Yeah, it's
interesting.
definitely like where Avon like shines the most. And also I think that's probably the most important bit, especially for our genre. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
for any genre, really, marketing is like 90% of if your book does well.
Hmm.
But especially in a genre where it's like you need to get books out really quickly. There's not really a lot of room for George R. Martining, or
Oh yeah,
take like
for
2 years to write a book. It's just not possible.
Pat Rothfuss thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he's not going to finish that book. That book's not coming.
People have been saying it's going to come soon, but I mean they've been saying that for 10 years.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I mean it's one of those things like maybe the Beatles will get back together, I guess.
Yeah, who knows?
That being said, do love Patrick Rothfuss, and you mentioned
Oh
something
yeah.
before about never pay a publisher. There are some slight exceptions. I think like a cost share, for example, if you do a cost share with a smaller publisher for the audiobook or something like that. But yeah, in general,
I probably still. I guess I
I
see what you're saying. It definitely depends on the publisher.
mhm.
I personally wouldn't do that. I think I would
Yeah.
definitely avoid any sort, just because the chances of like I mean, if you put your research in, you're like, oh, I know for a fact this isn't a vanity, and they're actually just a very small publisher, or like a small
Hmm.
publisher that's like doing some new things or testing, pushing some limits. Like, hey, if we spend a little more or less money here, maybe we can spend a little more money on marketing or a little more money on something else,
Hmm.
or like better on like maybe we cost share, but we get a really good narrator. Yeah, I could kind of see that. But I think I still personally would like as a rule of thumb avoid spending money when you're publishing because
That's
that's like
reasonable.
the publisher's taking that money out of your contract, right? Like they're earning money from your book. So
Hmm.
typically you don't want to be paying them because then it like there's going to be too many publishers that pretend to be doing good and they're really just like they get the paycheck and then they publish it for as cheap as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. I totally got you. No, in general, again, I mean, I've also already spoken about this in other podcast episodes. If you want to get published, there's many good publishers out there who will not ask you to pay. And if all publishers reject you, self-pub, go ahead and try that. You can do it. It's a lot of work, of course.
Yeah, it's a ton of work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because they establish channels and do the audio and everything. It's a shite ton of work. But also, there's always the way of writing another book.
Yeah.
Right? So
just keep going until one of them works.
Yeah, That's
kind of my strategy.
Exactly. Most people on the CritRPG podcast actually give you the advice, hey, don't get too attached to your first book. Write it because you love it. And then be proud that you finished it. Learning how to finish is very important. And then if no one's biting, that's okay. You can still do more stuff. You can write a new book, and it's going to be even better. You're going to love it even more than the first one, I guarantee it.
Yeah. There are like some authors, like Zogarth, for example, who only writes, like Primal Hunter is the only book he writes, and it's probably the only book he ever will write. But yeah, unless you like really feel like that, where you're like, no, this is the only story I care about, then there are definitely times when like when you're writing your book and you're like, oh man, if this isn't marketing, if it's not like if it's not getting reads, or if it's not like every publisher won't take it. I mean, still, by all means, go self-pub it. Like, I mean, you get a lot of money self-pubbing, especially if it does well. If it doesn't work, don't get torn up.
Exactly. And of course, if you are writing, and I'm very, very sad to say this because I am one of those writers, but if you're writing a female protagonist, sci-fi, queer story with lots of POV changes, because that's what you want to write,
that's going to be a little bit of a harder sell in this genre. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It might be a great book. And maybe you can even go in the trad publishing route with this, right?
Yeah, there's definitely, you should, when you like start doing alternative stuff where you're like trying to really push and you're like, yeah, it's definitely getting harder. So yeah, like trying different avenues to get readers is a very, very good idea. But like, I also definitely say, like, if you look at Melis, he writes exclusively female protag. He refuses to write any male protag books.
Who's that?
Melis D. He's the author of Amelia, of Salvos, TM.
Oh, okay.
Recently got a webcomic. Cool dude.
Stuff you wish authors knew.
Oh, there's a lot. From the publishing perspective, I think, let's see if I like try to categorize it a little bit. I mean, the first one is obviously like, your book doesn't have to be perfect when you submit it. I've seen a lot of people talking about like, oh, I have to hire a several $1,000 editor before I send my manuscript in. Like, no, don't do that. Like, it's so much money that Aethon or really any publisher is gonna cover anyways, because you send your book in, they're gonna edit it again. Like, try, especially if you're like if you're like a university student, you don't have a ton of money, or if you're just kind of working to make ends meet. Again, like a lot of us like slot writing in between like our full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Right. So don't like make yourself broke editing a book that's gonna get re-edited anyways. Aethon's not gonna toss your book out if you have a spelling error. Right? Like, I mean, go through it. Don't like send it in riddled with errors to the point where it's unreadable. But you like run it through like word editing or something. Right? Don't like spend thousands of dollars. That's just not worth it. Aethon's not, we're not like looking to throw your book out. We're looking to pick it up. Right? That's what we want. So
that being said, is there something that you would say, hey, like that's absolutely no-go, we will not publish this?
Yeah, we don't do like harem. We don't do, or like if it's like really graphic or like we don't do that.
Okay.
It's
so really graphic both in violence and sexuality?
Probably honestly more in sexuality, and not because we're like, oh, that's gross, but because the way Amazon works, you run stuff that's way too graphic there, you kind of get like blacklisted. Like they force you into like the romance, or not the romance, but like the smut, like erotica genre only.
Yeah.
And so then it's like you can't run ads for your stuff because they're like, oh, you're stuck with the 18 plus onlys. So I think it's fairly common for a lot of publishers to be like, yeah, keep things like I don't think PG-13. It's definitely like you can go relatively far. Like it's not like a hard cutoff if you have a sex scene, but usually it's like a fade to black type of thing.
Yeah, third base. We need a European platform.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Amazon needs some competition. Yeah, I really, really do wish they had some, but unfortunately they do not.
Yeah, we can talk about the revolution after the podcast.
Yeah. Let's see. Other things. Oh yeah, Kindle Unlimited and
Mm-hmm.
going wide. I have seen so much talk from both sides of people going, "Oh, you should go wide," or "Oh, you should go Kindle Unlimited." My personal view, and also generally the view of Aethon, although Aethon does do wide releases. Like they're not
Okay.
like if you go to them and you're like, "I want to go wide," I don't want to go KU. They're not going to say no. Like 40's Trailer Trash, for example. That one is a wide publication.
Mm-hmm.
So it's everywhere. It's not just on Amazon. But like my point of view, and yeah, I think in general is KU is like objectively better than going wide and by a
Yeah.
really big margin. If
Yeah.
you want,
Where else would you even go?
right? Yeah, exactly. And that's the big thing because Amazon's competitors were basically non-existent. Like they're Spotify, like they've got like their audiobook podcast, which was pretty cool, but that's more like Audible, and that's again kind of already a different like if we're looking just at ebook, right?
Yeah.
Like ignoring audiobook entirely. I mean, what are you gonna go? Apple Books? You're gonna get 10 readers on there. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
wish they were better. I really do wish going wide
Yeah.
was like a good option.
You're completely right. I just wanted to agree and say that Amazon is too big to fail.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess a big part of it is if you're trying to make money and go full time as an author. Because if you aren't, if you're not really concerned with that, if you're like, yeah, I don't really care about money. Like, I want to get my book out everywhere as much as possible. And I don't want to make it exclusive, and I want to keep it on like web serial sites, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, by all means, don't go KU. But if
Yeah.
you're trying to go full time and you're trying to build an audience, because one of the benefits of KU is the fact that people can read your book for free. So
Yeah.
especially if you're like a new author, people might be like less willing to take a chance on a book that they haven't heard of yet.
Yeah.
But if you're in KU, it's free. So it's much easier to kind of build an audience that way.
What's your take on the basically the KU version of Audible that they're trying to like establish?
But it's I actually did not know that was a thing yet. I'm sure Rhett and Steve do, but I kind of guess where it's going. If it's KU version of Audible, that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, on one hand, oh boy, Amazon gets another monopoly, but
Yeah.
they try a lot of things. Like they tried, what was it called? Kindle Vella. That crashed and burned.
Yeah.
If they can pull it off, I think it's great. I think it's a really good idea. Unless I don't know of some scummy thing that they've done, which is also entirely possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think in general, I think that like the cheaper, because KU is also cheaper for readers.
Yes.
Right? I am an author and a reader. I read a lot of books, like several books a week. 'Cause, I just mow through them when I go to bed. I don't want to spend like $10 a book or $5 a book every single time I read.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm all for making it way more accessible for people to be able to read audiobooks. I am curious as to how Amazon will do it because their KU royalties are already like per page reader very, very low. I mean, it adds up over a book, obviously, but Audible's royalties are famously bad. I know Sanderson called him out on it a little while ago. He's like, yeah, your royalties are god awful.
He did?
I believe so. Yeah, I think
Oh,
on
wow.
Audible, I think Sanderson made a big post. I don't think it was specifically about royalties as much as it was like, if you don't go exclusive with Audible, you get like some obscenely low number of royalties to the point where it's almost like losing money per purchase or something. Like
Yeah.
it's really, really bad. I do remember he made a post. He's like, hey, this is kind of scummy. I'm going to release my books on my own site or something like that.
Going back to the main topic, obviously Aethon, does help you with navigating all this stuff, right? Because if you're an
Right,
author like
yeah.
me, I don't want to deal with all this stuff. I really
Yeah, they
don't.
do all of it for you.
Exactly.
They handle, like, if you want to be like really involved, like if you're like, oh, I'm really dead set on doing it this way,
Mhm.
like they're good. I guess it depends on like what the thing is. If you're like, I'm dead set on launching this without telling anybody, they're gonna be like, we're not doing that. They want to make you as much money as possible. That's our goal. Is we want to make money, right?
Yeah.
For you and and
For
that's
us,
I
yeah.
think why exactly because we both earn money off of this. We're not motivated to see you fail. It means we fail too.
Just because I misspoke, I said for us, and I meant like for you. I'm not affiliated with any of the publishers on this podcast. Just saying, this is important for me. Okay, but is there more stuff that you wish authors knew?
Let's see. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, but it's like there's probably things I don't know right now that I wish I'd know in a little while, and I could come back and say those.
Oh yeah, sure.
But there's always like more like it's like the it's when you're posting your, like, Roll Road, for example, is a very, very good tool to put your book on. But I think most people know this, but if you stick your book on Roll Road, it's not getting trad published. Like,
Oh yeah.
bar, like, the most crazy exception, like Travis Baldree.
I think Travis Baldree, he did it. He first published it on Royal Road, then he self-published, and
I
then
don't even know if it was on Roll Road. I could be wrong. I for some reason I thought he went straight to KU.
oh yeah, he did. I don't know him, but what I've heard of him is that he would be the kind of person who doesn't do well in serial fiction because he is
Probably not, just because of how busy he is.
very busy, yes, and also very dedicated to his craft.
Right. Yeah, you got to like really hone and refine, and
Yeah.
typically that's not like it. You can't spend. And I guess that's another good one. Don't like get your book edited and readable and all that, especially with a publisher. But even if you're without one, like put effort into editing. Don't like publish garbage. But at the same time, don't like the whole thing in trad publishing. Like, oh, write 3 drafts of your book. Yeah, don't do that. Like unless you're like really dedicated to this one book. And you don't have like a time crunch, or you don't have like you're not trying to go full time. You can't spend that much time. You have to just keep going.
Exactly. If you're publishing on Royal Road, you just don't have the time. And if you are super dedicated to this one book and it is your first one, I say this with all the love that I can do because I have been there. Your first book is most likely not going to be the book that's going to get you out there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it certainly can. But I'll be honest, if it's the book that's going to get you out there in this genre, chances are you spending that extra, those extra months or even, even a year.
Years,
if you're really going hard. It's not going to change how well the book does.
Yeah,
like it'll boost it, but if your book is going to pop off, it's going to pop off.
We talked about it before too, right? Godclad's very high up there in the quality. So
there's definitely a few authors in the genre that are well known for like having absolutely fantastic prose. I really like Nobody's. I don't think it was like super flowery, but I think it was very, very clean and concise. So I really enjoyed that.
All right, so more stuff you wish authors knew?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. I definitely say, I guess this is like me self-plugging a little bit, but take books farther than just books. Like especially if you can. Like I think like the comic space is something that, I really push for. I think they're really, really cool. I think it's just really cool to try to push to go for comics, go for merch. Give your readers more when you can. Like obviously it's not cheap. It's very expensive. But if you can get someone to do it, or if you got the capital, because there's definitely some authors in this space that do have the capital.
Yeah.
It's like go for more.
And so you will have comic readers reading your books and book readers reading your comics.
Exactly.
It is a very good idea. Totally agree. So the first thing you do is you just get 7,000, 8,000 followers. And then you just get 5,000 Patreons or something. It's easy as that.
I will say you don't have to be that big. I mean, obviously that helps. It helps, like, that's where you could, like, fund it yourself.
Yeah.
But you could definitely, if you have, like, 4,000 or 5,000 followers, you're already, like, in the range where it's doable. Like, don't hemorrhage money. Be careful. Comics are very, very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But, stuff like getting, like, a pitch done, it's a few thousand. It's still very, very pricey, but it's manageable. Or, hell, come to a publisher. Let Aethon do it for you.
Exactly.
That's me. That's my job. So I obviously have to pitch that.
Okay, awesome. All right. So are there any stories that surprised you recently?
Obviously, no one reads Demonic Tree. XK and I have...
Yeah.
No one reads that. That's a tiny book. I don't know if you've seen the ads on Railroad recently.
Yeah, what's the other one? I think it's Engraving BDSM Student. No, wait. Oh, no, right. Yeah. What was it again?
The name of the book that XK was fighting with.
Yeah. I'm going to make it say it.
Oh, my God. Return of the Runebound Professor? Yeah. So, no one reads XK's books. We all know this. Some people did actually think XK and I had beef, which was really funny. I got some hate mail for that.
You just chat with each other and like post it on your respective pages.
Yeah, it would have been funny, but it's want people actually being toxic. So I get it. No one was like too bad. There were a few people that were, but for the most part it was fine. But yeah, there was a book that I was enjoying that was on Rising Stars a little bit ago.
Is it Merchant Crab?
Merchant Crab was funny as hell. That was a good one. I was actually thinking of the Apocalypse Me, Devour the
Oh.
Apocalypses by Noct.
Oh.
I really liked that. I saw it when it was like just starting up on Rising Stars, and I was like, oh, I really like this one. It kind of got shafted by Rising Stars, unfortunately.
Mm.
It was one of those novels that was going up, but it wasn't like, it didn't have like those massive shout outs to really push it up there.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it did get to top 7 for a little while. It unfortunately didn't like stick super hard, which bummed me out. It was like a battle royale.
Oh. Anything else you want to say about Aethon that makes you attractive and look sexy?
Well, we have mandatory skimpy uniforms.
Oh. Like
No,
with the mini skirts
Oh, yeah.
and like the like, you know, like tangas that go over your
Yeah,
hips.
yeah.
Mhm.
All handcrafted. Yeah, we take a lot of pride in our mini skirts. But no, I'd say like with Aethon, like I think marketing is still our strongest suit. But hey, if you're interested in getting merch done or comics done, if that
Mhm.
interests you, that helps me too. Helps me prove to Rhett and Steve that they're not wasting money on me.
Aw.
But yeah, if you're interested in comics merch, we're, as far as I know, still the only ones that do that right now. Although I do know there are some other publishers looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I think marketing is still Aethon's strongest suit.
Mhm.
We have a very, very, very good marketing arm. So even if your novel, like if you're like, yeah, my novel isn't like great for Royal Road, but it's like an Amazon targeted novel,
Mm-hmm.
we can help. So don't feel like your novel has to be massive on Royal Road to submit. Like, we look at every submission, or I say I don't do that. That's Rhett and Steve's problem. But they do actually look at like every submission. They do read through them. So yeah, don't just sit around on your novel just waiting. If you
Yeah.
want your book to do well, you have to act.
Yeah.
So, either self-pub it, or, what we offer sounds interesting. If you want like a lot of marketing behind you, you don't want to worry about doing like the production, the audiobook, editing, give us a call. See, I think we can help.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Actus. Thank you very much for representing Aethon. It was
Of course, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was Aethon-a-thon, you mean to say?
God. Oh, your poor listeners.
Oh, no. They're used to it. They're addicted. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope I'll see you around. If you enjoyed this show, you might also enjoy the main series of CritRPG podcast, where we talk with authors pretty much every week. All right. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you next time.